I'm making German food. German food?
You may have seen a few people test Flex Seal on a bucket.
We got our press passes revoked at the RNC, so I don't know what I'm doing here. Let me in. Let me in. I'm sorry.
Battlefield is, well, was a great franchise, remembered by many and surely played by many even to this day. First installment released back in 2002. It received fairly positive reviews and did surprisingly well commercially, selling over 3 million copies in the span of 2 years. Battlefield 1942 has introduced many players to the large-scale all-out warfare gameplay everyone needed. Since its release, we have seen a numerous amounts of sequels and spin-offs that did great. And we've seen a lot that did awfully. Yet, what matters the most today is not the past, but the present. And at least from my own perspective, I can surely say that it does not look good.
There is an idea of a Patrick, some kind of abstraction, but there is no real me, only an entity, something illusory. And though I can hide my cold gaze, and you can shake my hand and feel flesh gripping yours, and maybe you can even sense our lifestyles are probably comparable, I simply am not there.
Battlefield franchise had a variety of installments, from mere Frostbite engine demos, Fortnite-looking hero shooters, to gargantuous AAA Hollywood blockbuster type releases. The international success did not come overnight, as all the titles brought something new into the mix of what peak Battlefield games are today.
But Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction, Chemical X.
Battlefield 1942, as the first installment in the Battlefield franchise, introduced the whole concept of large-scale multiplayer battles. But it also has brought something very dear to the fans, Wake Island.
So Wake Island featured in Battlefield 1942, Vietnam, BF2, BF2142, which I honestly didn't even remember until I looked it up. Then Battlefield Heroes, BF1943.
I hate this channel.
Meanwhile, Battlefield Vietnam featured a whole new class system. Kits were more diversified between factions, differing functionality, as well as unlike 1942, which featured a single loadout for each kit, Vietnam gave players a bit of customization, and Battlefield 2142 was the title that made it even better, giving the player a rich and complex class customization which is still used as a base today. Battlefield 2, which of course was a complete mess regarding bugs, but a masterpiece regardless.
I mean, based on my best guesswork, which I brought with me. See, you can follow my train of thought here with my data that I've laid out. Honestly, when you look at it like this, I mean, I don't even need to say anything. It's pretty obvious.
Introduced the role of a commander who could use the map and set orders to other squads.
Building a weapon. What we know about it so far scares the shit out of us. What we don't know scares us a lot fucking more.
Hey, guys, look. I found an eye patch. Oh, God, my head.
Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2 not only used the new Frostbite engine, but showed what humorous yet satisfying campaign the DICE creative team can actually muster. Gone were the days of blank-faced T-posing jungle monkeys holding weapons. Came the era of well-written campaign stories. And talk about that Frostbite engine. It never felt better to shoot a rocket into a building and watch it collapse. That shit was giving me goosebumps every time I did that. I didn't need porn. Porn was shit compared to this. I could watch compilations of everything being destroyed in Battlefield games and get bricked up instantly.
Who wants to make $5?
How?
I need someone to take the fall.
Oh my God! What did you do?
I can't tell you. Yes or no, no questions asked.
Oh my God! Make it 10.
Done.
Oh my God!
You're a good son. I got him, honey! I got him, don't worry!
To every perfected beauty comes a tidal wave of mediocrity. And so after years of commercially successful titles, we received Battlefield Online. Created by Neowiz Games, yes, the same ones that are responsible for the whole Bless Online situation. Not only that, but there's almost no information about Battlefield Online on the internet, at least on our side, because the game was specifically made for the Asian market. BF Online was sort of a remake of Battlefield 2, taking place in an alternate timeline, developed by a completely separate studio with partial supervision from DICE and EA. Mind you, that supervision was completely non-existent, and it even used the same Refractor 2 engine that was used on Battlefield 2 6-7 years ago. It is the same timeline when Bad Company 2 came out.
Does this look like it turns into that? A little common sense, B2.
Even by now, you already probably realized that the game was complete garbage, because most of you won't even know that this game existed. So of course, people even then threw it to the side. Battlefield Heroes, which, well, was my favorite out of all when I was a kid. It had a great start, even when it was a completely different installment from all the other titles that we've seen before. It was free to play, appealing not only to teenagers and kids, but to adults, due to its fun gameplay loop. Unfortunately, even the giants fall. And it wasn't because there was no content left. It wasn't because players got bored of it. It was mainly EA's fault. It has introduced microtransactions as always, and they were so ridiculously expensive. People just didn't want to play anymore. Battlefield Play for Free, as the name indicates, was a free-to-play installment that tried to invite more people to experience what the franchise was all about. However, once again, another rising star was brought to its knees with expensive microtransactions and insanely hard grind for casual players. Not only for casual players, but for veteran players too, as there was no new content added throughout the lifespan of Battlefield Play for Free. The game itself had a very good concept and idea to introduce new people into the Battlefield franchise, but when there are no updates and no communication between the developers and the players, the game will unfortunately just die off. These three titles did not succeed on the level they were expected to, and neither did it too terribly. Well, at least at the start, whilst fans were still playing Bad Company 2 and did not make a huge fuss about these three games. Patience was starting to grow thin.
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world. The longer you live, the more you will realize that the only things that truly exist in this reality are merely pain, suffering, and futility.
This is not a trial. You are guilty. I know how your fucking story ends.
Before Battlefield 3, Call of Duty franchise dominated the multiplayer mode. The new Battlefield's gritty campaign, large destructible multiplayer map, hundreds of guns and vehicles played a crucial role on the success of DICE's Precious Child, especially when you look at other competitors that Battlefield had. As Battlefield Bad Company and Bad Company 2 left quite a sour taste for some people, due to mainly DICE focusing on console players rather than the ever-growing player base of PC. The DICE general manager at the time even came out to apologize for neglecting the PC fanbase and promised that they will get the same treatment as the console players from now on. Praised by many and played by even more, Battlefield was slowly taking over the FPS genre as an underdog.
The worst thing we can do in a situation like this is panic. Talk like that, man. You stare the crap out of me. Hey, help me move this seat, man. We're still sinking. Shit. Get you out of here, Doug. You hear me? How, man? The doors are stuck shut. Shit! This wasn't how it's supposed to happen, Irish.
The success of Battlefield 3 was known to everyone, and the logical step would be to release a sequel. Not any sequel, of course, but an even better one. Fans were eagerly waiting in their leather big-ass chairs, edging over every rumor, concept art, any tweet that came out of any DICE employee. After 2 years of torture, agony, pain, and relentless waiting, the teasers were here. From the viciously dark cinematics to the overly aggressive soundtracks that would blow out any grandma's hearing aid, the teaser brought every fan to tears. And of course, it couldn't get any better, right? No, it couldn't. Every single person in the world is now waiting for that sweet launch of Battlefield 4.
Oh my god!
When the game launched, it was nowhere a perfect state.
EA boss Andrew Wilson has branded the troubled launch of Battlefield 4 as unacceptable, while also stressing developer DICE has learned a valuable lesson, so it shouldn't happen again. Speaking to Eurogamer, Wilson explained why the issue came about and pinned the blame on the ambition originally displayed by the studio.
Not only people could not get into servers, there were frame rate issues, server crashes, client crashes, rubber banding, netcode, lag issues, loss of unlocked items. The game at launch was unplayable. EA was quick to respond and apologize. Psych! Wilson put the blame on none other but the fans themselves for having garbage equipment. Although he commented that it works fine for me, literally no one else had a good time trying to play on EA servers. Of course, I commend DICE staff for not abandoning such a train wreck that was the launch of Battlefield 4. Surprise, surprise, but the real savior was Danger Close Games, the same studio that was shut down because of Medal of Honor Warfighter title and rebranded as DICE LA just specifically for Battlefield 4. They even halted all the production on other titles just to get Battlefield 4 in a proper state. You could see that the Battlefield franchise is precious not only for EA but for DICE's survival. It got so much better that 2-3 years later, fans forgave for the awful launch and are still playing to this day.
Actually be oh god! Ah, fuck!
Battlefield Hardline was not a bad game by all means. It had, to be completely honest, I hated Hardline, mainly because it was a Battlefield game. I really loved the concept of cops versus robbers on a Frostbite engine. I think that's the problem a lot of Battlefield fans had with this installment. It did not feel like a real Battlefield game. Of course, it is a spin-off, introducing something new to the formula, but not right after Battlefield 4. Hardline is a victim of its time. Released by Visceral, who previously worked on Dead Space and Battlefield 3's Endgame DLC, which is a weird choice, but it's not the first time EA does a decision like this. Same as Black Box was shut down because of commercial failure, Maxis because of SimCity's awful launch, Visceral was also shut down because of Hardline. Additionally, Hardline came out at the time when Battlefield 4 only reached its peak. It is an understatement to say that Hardline had a hard time. It was too similar of a game to BF4. It reused the same art assets. Of course, it's always the same quote, what's not broken doesn't need to be fixed. But I'm not paying $60 for an expanded reskin of a game I paid for a year ago.
A new Battlefield game?
Battlefield. New Battlefield. No bugs. No microtransactions. Good launch. Good battlefield.
Come on, then! Move forward! Get ready, man! Get down!
Ready to try it out?
Alright, let's talk about what arguably was the last bastion of the Battlefield franchise. Battlefield 1 set in the First World War era, and it is strongly inspired by historical events. It is also the first time the Battlefield campaign was split into separate stories led by different protagonists. Whereas I truly hated that style of campaign, we all know that multiplayer was the star of the show. Since this was quite a deviation of thematic compared to all the other Battlefield games, well, besides the first couple, but it made sense as they came out in the 2000s. A lot of players did not even try Battlefield 1 as it was set in a shitty time era with very slow weaponry and whack-ass vehicles. There was a lot of praise for a game that was published by EA, and with the usual terrible launch that Battlefield games have. Battlefield 1 was quite inaccurate with the portrayal of the era it is set in. However, if it actually was accurate, boring would be the only word to describe the game. The weapons were not that advanced, there weren't that much variety in loadout, machine guns were in very early stages of prototyping, not used for wide scale, requiring a gun crew to operate. Oh well, I'm so sorry about this boring monologue. He can sometimes get lost in his own rambling. Okay, this is getting out of hand. Could you stop him, please? I said stop! The multiplayer component was praised for its solid mechanics, the dope-ass soundtrack, and of course, the new game mode, Operations. This mode consists of 2 or 3 maps in sequence that are narratively linked to one another, with attackers aiming to push the front line forward to continue on to the next map. And the defenders, of course, are trying to hold ground while reducing the attackers' tickets to 0. Of course, Battlefield always had some good maps and some very bad maps, and most of them are truly bad. Like, let's just say there's one map in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 that everybody remembers. It's Metro. Every other map in Battlefield 3 and 4 is kind of shit. You either love a map or you truly hate it. And of course the same goes for Battlefield 1. There are maps that I truly hate, like all the desert maps that are just sniper maps. Additionally, there's a problem with hackers all the time. The official DICE servers are never moderated, are never looked after by an admin. So of course hackers are roaming free in these servers. New players, when they come to experience a new Battlefield game, they always of course go to an official Battlefield server. And what do they get? A fucking aimbotter going around the map and shooting everyone in the head. While the game truly had a perfect launch compared to all the other Battlefield games, it's something that you either love or you hate. Yes, there were a lot of players that did not like the installment, but with how much content there was, it was a rightfully earned praise. Alright folks, that's the bell. Thank you for participating in this lecture, and I hope seeing you next time. Until then, pack up your stuff and leave.